Social anxiety. Parties, shopping, social get-togethers, face-to-face transactions, someone asking you questions. Are you okay? If you're anyone like myself who has a neurological disorder, I'm sure you're fully aware of all the social anxieties that quite nice and neatly come along with it. If you're a parent or a friend of someone with neurological disorders, you know very well the struggles that person goes through with their social anxiety. And seeing as socialising is something that our species does, it can be so overwhelming for someone who just isn't used to that. Patience is something that is such an important factor for someone who has some form of social anxiety. Now, we all have different levels of social anxiety. Some people cope very well in a group of friends that they know and trust, whereas some still struggle with a group of friends that they know and trust really well, and that can still be a struggle because there are so many factors and things that you have to take in when you think about a social gathering. For someone who struggles a lot with their senses, think about how many senses you actually use when you're socialising with a group of people. So one of the first senses would be your hearing. Sound is a huge factor, especially if you're shopping, if you're at the town malls, or even like at a party, or just something really small. It could be eating dinner with your family. There are so many sounds to take in. There are other people walking past, there's cars, there's people moving things around in shops, there are prams, there are people walking with their feet, and people walking not with their feet. Maybe they're doing handstands, I don't know. Then the second sense would be your sight. There is a lot to see. There are lots of different faces, and all the different faces are making different sounds. There are lots of different colours, there are lots of objects, there are so many things moving in the background as well as the people that you have to focus on. Then third, there is touch. So there are a lot of textures, there's temperature, there's so much. I can't even think of them all right now, but there are so many different things going on with your senses. There's then also the other sense, which is your smell. Other people walking around all have different smells, different shops produce different smells. A shoe shop smells very different to that of a technology shop. It's a bit like, when you walk into a carpet shop and it is such a strong smell for a neurotypical person. That strong smell is the same smell that someone with a neurological disorder experiences every time they go into a different type of room or different type of shop, different kind of location. Of course, that does vary from person to person. Myself, personally, it's not that big of a difference, but the difference is there and you can definitely sense that. And then the last sense, which probably not the biggest factor, but that would be taste. And that could just be the taste in their mouth from their social anxiety. It could be that they're drinking something different, they're eating something different, and especially if you're at a dinner table or you're at a restaurant with people, if you're eating something and you're, the texture, the taste might be too much and you're conscious of other people around you, that can be really difficult. There are so many things that we have now that can help us with our social anxiety. For example, there are fidget cubes, there's fidget spinners, which I'm not too fond of myself. I have one, never really used it, don't get on with it. The one thing I love so much about the fidget cube is that that's something you can have in your pocket and you can play around with. There are different textures on the fidget cube as well. I like the marble bit that has a key bit. I don't have it on me right now, it's at work. Otherwise I'd show you. There are so many things you can do with social anxiety. I'd love to know what you guys do for your anxieties. I kind of try and focus on a particular sense before things kind of get too much and kind of focus on that, and then my anxiety tends to kind of trickle out a little bit, which is really nice. I know a lot of people do certain things to help them, maybe try and go find somewhere quiet. Is this something that you do? I don't know. Everyone's so different, which is the most wonderful thing about being neurodiverse is that everyone is so different. No one technique is the same. No two neurologically challenged people are the same. Everyone's so different, which is wonderful. We're all different. We're all individual. But yes, please do tell me what you go through with your social anxiety and what kind of things you do to deal with that. Bye bye, bye bye, bye.